Welcome back, fellow GCSE students. Today, we're diving into the world of mathematics, focusing on the Paper 1 non-calculator higher tier. And this is the 2021 set of exams. So strap in, get ready to conquer this challenging paper. So what can you expect? Well, we'll break down each question, providing step-by-step solutions. And alongside that, we'll share valuable tips to help you maximize your score. So whether you're aiming for a top grade or simply seeking a solid understanding of the topics, this video has got you covered. So let's crack open the paper and unlock the secrets to success. Question number 1. So when we're faced with multiplying decimals, the first thing I would do is simply eliminate all of the decimal points, which means we'd have 367 multiplied by 42. But always remember how many spaces they take. In this case, we're multiplying 3.67 by 100 and by 4.2 by 10. So 110 would give us 3 positions, so that's 1,000. Keep that in mind. Okay, so let's go ahead and multiply this out. So first we'll do 367 multiplied by 2. Again, that is 734. We'll then go ahead and add the place value and do 367 divided by 4. Again, we can simply double 734. But again, let's go ahead and do 7 times 4 is 28. 6 times 4 is 24, plus 2 is 26. And 3 times 4 is 12, plus 2 is 14. We can now go ahead and add that up. But remember now we've got 15,414. But because we've moved 3 positions to the right, we now have to move 3 positions to the left. So that's 1, 2, 3. So our answer is 15.414. Marvelous. Okay, let's go for part B here. And I'm going to do something very similar, but this time I'm going to just make the denominator a whole number, which means I will end up having 59.84 divided by 1.6, and then I'll go ahead and multiply it out to have 598.4 divided by 16. So I just times both numbers by 10. Okay, let's go ahead and do our bus stop method here. We know 16 doesn't go into 5, but 16 goes into 59. That is 3 times with a remainder of 11. We then see that 16 goes into 118 7 times. Don't forget your decimal, with a remainder of 6, and then 16 goes into 64 4 times, and there we are. Our answer is 37.4. Beautiful. Okay, question 2. Complete the Venn diagram for this information. So we know we're working with even numbers less than 19, so we haven't got all of the even numbers in A and B. So the first thing I'm going to do is find the similarities, which again is 6 and 18, that I am both. I'm then going to find out what A has, which is just 12, and then what B has, which is 2 and 14. But remember, we're working with all of the even numbers less than 19. So there's 4 that are remaining, which are going to be 4, 8, 10, and 16, and that's 3 marks in the bag. Okay, question 3. So we've got mixed fractions, and we need to calculate this. So step 1, we're going to convert this into improper fractions. How do we do that? Well, we multiply a whole number by the denominator and then add our numerator. So 4 times 5 is 20, plus 1 is 21 over 5, minus 2 times 3 is 6, plus 2 is 8 over 3. Now we've gone ahead and done that. Let's focus on the butterfly method. Well, the butterfly method is when you first do 21 times by 3, which is 63, over 8 times 5, which is 40, and then we keep the denominator the same. Well, we multiply the denominator and we keep that the same, which is 15 and 15, and that gives us 23 over 15. But because they want the answer in a mixed number, we're going to go ahead and break this down as 8 over 15. Because 1 times 15 is 15, plus the 8 is 23 over 15. It's 8 over 15. Don't forget to pause the video, guys, at any given time. Attempt the question and then press play to see if you've got the right answer. I am making sure I'm working swiftly through this paper, so try to keep up. Okay, question 4. Right, so this question is all about comparing. We've been given two values of homes, and by the end of 2019, there's been a decrease and increase. So the question is, whose house had a greater value? Well, let's split the page and let's go for Tomorrow on one end and let's go for Raheem on the other end. Now, we know Tomorrow's house started at 220,000 and Raheem's started at 160,000. Tomorrow's decreased by 20%. So we know 10% is 22,000, so 20% would be 44,000. We'll subtract that from this value and we're left with 176,000. However, for Raheem, we know his increased by 30%. So we'll get 10%, which is 16,000. We'll times that by 3, which is 48,000. And then let's add that on, and that gives us 208,000. So altogether, we know that Raheem's house has greater value. Marvelous. Okay, question 5. Righty, so question 5 is a ratio-based question. They've told us that Ibrahim has 24 more stickers than Matilda, and Ibrahim has more stickers than Rosie. So how many more stickers does Ibrahim have than Rosie? Well, let's take a look at this, right? If we can see Ibrahim is being given 15, right? We're going to go ahead and subtract this. So 15 take away 7 gives us 8. So now we know that we will have 8 pots, and that will equal 24 stickers in total. Now, where did I get 24 stickers? Well, it says Ibrahim has 24 more stickers than Matilda. So we know that 15 is 8 times larger than 7, which is what Matilda has. So on the basis of that, let's calculate one part. So we will divide both sides by 8. So we get one part, which equals 3 stickers. On the basis of this, we now know that Rosie to Matilda to Ibrahim is going to be 4 to 7 to 15, as they've stated above. And then we'll times all this by 3 because one part is 3 stickers. And that there gives us 12, 21, and 45. So now we've done that. It states how many more stickers does Ibrahim have than Rosie? So all we have to simply do is go ahead and subtract 12 from 45. And that there would give us 33. And that is our answer. Beautiful work. Okay, question number 6. So we've been given a prism. The cross-section of the prism is a right-angled triangle. And the base of the triangle has length 5 centimeters. So let's go ahead and work out the height of the prism. So first of all, what's the formula of the volume? Well, we know it's half times the base times the height, and then we times the length. So on the basis of that, we know that our prism has a volume of 750 centimeters squared. We know our base is given as 5, but we don't know our height. And we know our length is 25. So in this question, we're going to make the height the subject. So instantly, let's go ahead and multiply 5 and 25. So we know that's 125, and we'll divide that by 2 and multiply our height. Once we have that, we can take the 2 over. So now that is not a divided by 2, but it's a multiplied by 2. And that gives us 1,500 equals 125 times your height. Again, we'll now go ahead and make height the subject. And then we'll be left with 1,500 divided by 125, which again, if you divide by 5, gives you 300 over 120, which gives you 300 over 25, or 60 over 5, and that gives you 12. And that there is your answer. Okay. Question number 7. The diagram shows a cube with edges of L, X centimeters. The diagram shows a cube with edges of length x centimeters and a sphere of radius 3 centimeters. The surface area of the cube is equal to the surface area of the sphere. So we now need to show that x equals root k pi, where k is an integer. Well, the first thing to understand is that all of the sides are the same in a cube. So if we look at the surface area of a cube, we know that's going to be 6x squared. Remember, SA is surface area. And then if we look at the surface area of the sphere, we know that's going to be 4 pi r squared, as given by the formula there. And then we'll substitute our value, which is going to be 4 pi 3 squared. And altogether, that gives us 36 pi. So if we know that they're equal, we'll just have 6x squared equals 36 pi. We'll divide both sides by 6, so we're left with x squared equals 6 pi. And then if we go ahead and make x the subject, we'll simply have x equals root 6 pi, and that is our answer. And that's the form that they wanted it in. Beautiful work. Let's go for question 8. Solve x squared equals 5x plus 24. Well, when you're given questions like this, they ultimately want the value of x. So we know we'll have x equals. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to factorize this, right? So let's make it equal to 0. So we'll have x squared minus 5x minus 24 equals 0. Remember, this is in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c. We'll then find two numbers that can multiply to give us minus 24 and add to give us minus 5x. So again, we'll have double brackets, and that's going to give us x minus 8 and x plus 3 equals 0. So now we know the values of x are going to be plus 8 or minus 3. Brilliant work. And the way we do this is we have x minus 8 equals 0, but you make x the subject, so x equals 8, or x plus 3 equals 0, you make x the subject, and that's minus 3. Fantastic. Okay, 9a. Write down the value of 7 to the power of 0. Well, we know that anything you have the power to the 0 will always give you 1. And then for part B, find the value of 3 times 3 to the power of 6 times 3 to the power of minus 6. So again, we know 3 to the power of 6 times 3 to the power of minus 6 is always going to end up with 3 to the power of 0, which is going to be 1. And then if we times that by 3, that's going to give us 3. And then for part C, 2 to the power of minus 4. Well, again, all we need to do is put a fraction over it. 2 to the power of 4 will give us 1 over 16. And there we are. And then for part D, all we need to do is cube root 27, which will give us 3. And then to the power of 1, which gives us 3. Marvelous work. You're doing really well coming this far. So let's keep it up and jump into question 10. So the diagram shows a shape made from 6 identical squares. The total area of the shape is 5,406 centimeters squared. So find an estimate for the length of one side of each square. Alrighty. So we know they're made up of 6 identical squares. So we have 5406 divided by 6, which gives us 900 centimeters squared, and that's for each square. We then need to go ahead and square root 900, and we get 30 centimeters, and that is our answer. And that's your estimate for one side of each square. So again, find the value of one square, and then go ahead and find one side of it, and you're good to go. And then we have to ask ourselves, is this an underestimate or an overestimate? So what we've done here is we've rounded 5,406 down to 5,400. So this is then seen as an underestimate. Marvelous work. Okay, let's go for question number 11. So the diagram shows 2 rectangles, A and B, and all measurements are in centimeters. And we've been told that the area of rectangle A is equal to the area of rectangle B. So find the expression for y in terms of W. So let's go ahead and multiply this out first. And that's 6 multiplied by 2W plus Y, and that equals the area of rectangle B, which is 7W, and that's 3Y plus 6. Let's go ahead and expand and simplify this right away. And now we've gone ahead and done that, we're going to simplify it and bring like terms together. And then again, because we're finding an expression of y in terms of w, we'll go ahead and make w the subject. So we've put the minus 21w y together, and we'll now factorize it. And that there is our answer, which is 30w over 6 minus 21w. Okay, let's move over to question 12, cumulative frequency. So it gives us some information about the heights in centimeters of 40 plants. On the grid, draw the cumulative frequency graph for this information. So again, we're going to straight go in with the height being 5 centimeters and the cumulative frequency being 4. And then for 10, we'll have 11. And for 15, we'll have 24. For 20, we'll have 34. And for 25, we'll have 38. And then for 30, we'll have 40. And then with the freehand, we can go ahead and join this up right away. Marvelous. And then again, it states, use the graph to find an estimate for the median height of the plants. Well, we know it goes up to 40, so the middle value is 20. So all we need to do is go ahead and draw a line straight across and then all the way down here. And you can see that's approximately 13.5. Beautiful work. Okay, question 13. Ted is trying to change 0.43 reoccurring to a fraction. Let's evaluate Ted's method so far. Well, let's take a look at what he's done here. The first thing I notice is that Ted has not made the recurring parts the same. So what he should have done is used 100x. And that's mainly because there's two numbers after the decimal. And by using that, he'd then have 43.43 recurring, and that way it would help him to eliminate the recurring values and then have 100x minus x to get the value 43. So essentially you'll have 43 over 99x. Question 14. Here is a shape with all its measurements in centimeters, and the area of the shape is a centimeter squared. So we now have to show that the expression here is the area. So let's go ahead and do that right away. So I'm going to split this into 2 and multiply this out here. So a equals 4 multiplied by x plus 1. And then I'll go ahead and have 2x plus 6. And then for the final part, we'll subtract 4 from 11. So we'll have x plus 7. And then we need to go ahead and expand and simplify here. So that's 4x plus 4 plus 2x squared plus 6x plus 14x plus 42. And now if we go ahead and simplify this right away, we know we'll have 2x squared. We'll have 14x, 6x, that's 20x, plus 4x, that's 24x, and then plus 46 in total, and that is exactly what we were given. Okay, so just to make you guys aware, the first 13 or 14 questions are the final questions within the foundation paper. So now we've got ahead and covered that. Let's move on to the more higher tier suited questions. So for question 15, it's a show question. So it's simply a proof question. So let's go ahead and prove that the fraction given can be written in the form ax plus b over cx. So the first thing we're going to do is simply cross multiply. And that is by simply multiplying it out so both denominators are the same. So if we go ahead and zoom in, we'll have 5 multiplied by 4x plus 3 over 10x plus 6x over 10x. And all I've done here is simply cross multiplied. That's all. Just like that. Marvelous. Now we've gone ahead and done this. Let's go ahead and embed it into one fraction, and that's 5. And I'll go ahead and multiply this out as well. So 5 times 4x is 20x plus 15 plus 6x over 10x. I'll then go ahead and simplify this, and we get 26x plus 15 over 10x, and that there is 3 marks in the bag, in the same form as what they have given us. Beautiful. Let's go for question 16 now. There's 3 red counters and 5 yellow counters in a bag. And Jude takes at random 3 counters from the bag. So work out the probability that he takes exactly 1 red counter. So again, let's go ahead and write down our probability. So again, the probability could be red and then yellow and then yellow. Or it could be yellow, red, yellow. Or finally, yellow, yellow, and red. And then we now need to go ahead and write this out as a fraction. So for it being a red first, we know it's 3 over 8. And then a yellow, it's going to be 5 over 7. Remember, 1 has been removed, not replaced. And then another yellow, and that's 4 over 6. Again, that gives us 5 over 28. And then for the second one, we'll have 5 over 8 times by 3 over 7 times by 4 over 6. Again, you can multiply that right away, and that's 5 over 28. And then for the final one, we'll have 5 over 8 times 4 over 7 and times 3 over 6, which gives us 5 over 28 as well. So now all we need to do is simply add these all up together, and we're left with 15 over 28, and that is our answer. That's the probability that he takes exactly 1 red counter. So remember to write down all your probabilities and then add them at the end. Fantastic. Question 17. So on the grid, show by shading the region that satisfies all these inequalities. So the first thing we're going to do here is go ahead and simplify our first inequality. And we're going to make it out of y. So we're going to divide everything by 2 here. So we'll have y, which is less than x minus 4 over 2. So again, I've gone ahead and taken the 4 over, and then I've divided it by 2. Whilst x less than 3 and y less than 6 minus 3x can remain as they are. And now we need to go ahead and find out the values and the coordinates of this. So for instance, we'll have x, we'll have y. And then again, if we take the value of y being minus 2 here, we know x will be 0, while y will be minus 1, we know x will be 2, and while y is 0, x will be 4. And that's by simply substituting the values into the expression that we've been given. On the basis of this, let's go ahead and plot our graph here. So we'd have 0 minus 2, 2 minus 1, and 4 and 0. So again, we can go ahead and stretch the line over right away, and we're good to go. Marvelous. Okay, with that being said, let's go ahead and now do our x is less than 3. I'll use blue for this one, and I'll go ahead and circle it and bring it all the way down. Okay, marvelous. And then for the final one, which is y is less than 6 minus 3x, we'll go ahead and do the same thing as x and y. And this time, we'll go ahead and start with our x value being 0, 1, and 2. And then we'll go ahead and substitute that in as 6 minus 3 times 0 will just be 6. 6 minus 3 times 1, which is 3. and 6 minus 3 times 2, which is 0. And then go ahead and plot this away as well. So we'll have 0 and 6, we'll have 1 and 3, and then we'll have 2 and 0. And then all we need to do, simply go ahead and draw a line right away. Marvelous. And then it asks us to go ahead and shade in the region and label it R. So we now know, and I'll shade it in green. Okay, let's go for question 18. So we've been given a trapezium, and the area of the trapezium is 66 centimeters squared. And we've also been given a ratio. So let's find the length of AB. Well, the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and find. So the first thing we're going to do is label all of the information that we've been given. I'll start off by going from A to B, which is 2y, and then D to C, which is 3y. I'm then going to go ahead and split this up into 2. So we have a triangle, and we can use our SOHCAHTOA to calculate it right away. So having said that, we now will have the hypotenuse, which is 6, and we need to work out the opposite, which can be labeled as x. So we'll have sin 30 equals x over 6. Make x the subject and have 6 multiplied by sin 30. Again, we know that sin 30 is a half, so we don't need a calculator for this. So that's 6 times a half, and that gives us 3. So now we know that our length O for opposite is going to be 3. But how are we going to use that to our advantage? Well, we're now going to go ahead and use this for our trapezium area. So we'll have a half multiplied by 2y plus 3y multiplied by 3, and that gives us 66. We can then take the 3 over, so we have half 2y plus 3y equals 22. And then go ahead and take the half over, and so we now have 5y equals 44, and y will equal 8.8. And that's from getting 44 divided by 5. So now if we go ahead and calculate the length of AB, which is 2y, we just have that times by 2 gives you 2y, and that's 17.6 centimeters. Marvelous work. And that's 5 marks in the bag. Beautiful. Okay, we're almost done now, guys. So let's keep it up. Let's go for question 19. Once again, we've been given a show question. And again, it may look like we need to work with rationalizing our denominator as we've got surds. So let's go ahead and prove this. So the first thing I'm going to do is simplify root 12. And I know that gives me root 4 and root 3, which can also give me 2 root 3. I'm then going to go ahead and rationalize my denominator. So I'll have 8 plus 2 root 3 on my numerator, and my denominator is going to be 5 plus root 3. And remember, when you're rationalizing, your operation must change in your denominator. So it's 5 minus root 3. Once we go ahead and multiply this out, we're left with 40 minus 8 root 3 plus 10 root 3 minus 6 over 25 minus 5 root 3 plus 5 root 3 minus 3. So if we have 40 minus 6, that's 34, and then we're left with 2 root 3 over 22 as these cancel out. And then we can simply divide this by 2, and so we're left with the answer of 17 plus root 3 over 11, and that is exactly in the form as what they wanted. Remarkable. 4 marks in the bag. Okay, let's move over to question 20. So the diagram shows a graph, and we need to use the graph to find estimates of the solution of the simultaneous equation. So again, the easiest thing that we need to do is simply go ahead and make y the subject by taking the minus 2x over. So we have y equals 2x plus 1. We'll then go ahead and work out the coordinates of these values here. So 0, 1, and 2. And substitute that in as 2 times 0 is 0 plus 1 is 1. Then 2 times 1 is 2 plus 1 is 3. And 2 times 2 is 4 plus 1 is 5. So now we have the coordinates that we require. So what do we do with these coordinates? Well, we plot them right away. So we have 0, 1, we have 1 and 3, and then we have 2 and 5. Marvelous. So now all we need to do is go ahead and draw a vague line just going across this right away. Thereafter, we can then simply read these points off the graph. If we circle this right away, we know that y is going to be seen as 5.1. And if we go all the way down, it's merely just after 2, so x will equal 2.1. And we do the exact same thing for our point here, where we have x as 2.9 being a negative and y being a negative 4.7. And that there is our answer. So these 4 figures would be our answer. Beautiful work. Okay, question 21a, functions. So they've given us 2 functions. Let's work out gf1. We start with the one that is second, so f1. That then gives us 3(1) squared plus 1, which gives us 4. And then we use that for our g. So we can have 4 over 4 squared, which equal 1 over 4, and that is our answer. And then for part B, find hx. So we'll take fgx, and we know that equals 4 over x squared. We'll then simplify this. So we have 16 over x to the power of 4 plus 1, and then multiply it out. So we have 48 over x to the power of 4 plus 1. And now we have this value. Let's equal it to y. And then switch over the x and the y. So we now should have x equals 48 over y to the power of 4 plus 1. And remember, our goal here is to make hx the subject. So essentially, once we've made y the subject, we can then go ahead and solve it for hx. So then let's go ahead and get a value for this. We'll take the 1 over, so x minus 1 equals 48 over y to the power of 4. And then y to the power of 4 is x minus 1, and that equals 48. And so if we have y to the power of 4, that gives us 48 over x minus 1. So now let's go ahead and make y the subject. So we'd have y equals to the power of 4 square root 48 over x minus 1. And at this point, we then go ahead and bring in our hx. So we can simply replace y with hx, and that there is our answer. Okay, and over to our final question. Find the coordinates of the turning point on the curve with equation y equals 9 plus 18x minus 3x squared. So firstly, let's go ahead and write this in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c. Now I've gone ahead and done that. Let's factorize it right away. And then we can go ahead and complete the square on this. So the minimum point, or the turning point of this graph, is going to be the x. And that's whatever makes this bracket equal to 0. And that's 0 squared times minus 3 is 0. And what's left is 36. So y will be 36. And that there gives us our answers as 3 and 36. Marvelous work. And that's a wrap for our walkthrough of Edexcel Mathematics Paper 1 Higher Tier. We hope you found this video helpful and gained the confidence that you need to tackle your upcoming exams. So remember, practice makes perfect. So keep honing your skills and revising those key concepts. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more GCSE exam walkthroughs. Best of luck in your exams, guys, and remember, you've got this.